Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for visiting Rabbani Research. We will be talking on leadership today, and this topic is based on an article. Let's see what we can learn from this. This presentation is based on the best leaders are great teachers by Sidney Frankenstein from Harvard Business Review, and this is the photograph or picture of Mr. Sidney. Best leaders are great teachers. Sidney Finkelstein is a management professor at Dartmouth Tuck School of Business, has studied world-class leaders for more than a decade. He has found that they make a point of personality, imparting memorable lessons that fall into three categories: pointers on professionalism, technical knowledge and skills, and broader life lessons. Finkelstein notes that when and where top leaders teach is almost as important as what they teach. Instead of waiting for formal reviews, great managers stay accessible to their employees and share their wisdom as opportune moments arise, whether that's in the office or outside it. They also create teaching moments, often by taking proteges off-site. Kundapur Vaman Kamath. He was a teacher, but he didn't work at a school or stand in front of a class. Instead, he delivered his lessons at office to the employees who served under him during his 4 decades as a senior executive at and then CEO of India's ICICI Bank. Whether he was offering tips on stakeholders communication or explaining the importance of ambitious goals, Kamath treated each day as an opportunity to provide his direct reports with a customized master class in management. Over time, this approach transformed the company into a hothouse of leadership talent, accelerating its growth. ICICI became one of India's largest, most innovative banks, and Kamath has been credited with molding a whole generation of the country's banking executives. Star managers emphasize ongoing intensive one-on-one tutoring of their direct reports, either in person or virtually in the course of daily work. Cognitive psychologists, teachers, and educational consultants have long recognized the value of such personalized instructions. It fosters not just competence or compliance, but mastery of skills and independence of thought and action. The exceptional leaders. The exceptional leaders I studied were teachers through and through. They routinely spent time in the trenches with employees, passing on technical skills, general tactics, business principles, and life lessons. Their teaching was informal and organic, flowing out of the task at hand, and it had an unmistakable impact. Their teams and organizations were some of the highest performing in their sectors. The unforgettable lessons. Great leaders teach on a range of topics, but their best lessons so relevant and useful that direct reports are often still applying and sharing them years later fall into 3 buckets. Professionalism. A manager who worked for real estate CEO and investor Bill Sanders told me that Sanders often gave advice on conducting oneself professionally. He explained how to effectively prepare for meetings, how to communicate a vision when attempting to sell, and how to look at the industry not as it is but as it could become. Proteges of Kamath have said that he showed them how to mentor subordinates in an appropriate and constructive manner, guiding them while still respecting their independence. Other managers spoke of learning from their leaders the value of emphasizing integrity and high ethical standards. Point of craft. You might think that the most senior leaders would leave instruction about the nuts and bolts of their business to others. But stars like former hedge fund CEO Julian Robertson and fashion icon Ralph Lauren trained their people in the same highly disciplined approach that they employed themselves, one rooted in extensive knowledge and experience. As a direct report said, the Robertson, he could at any given time know so much about so many different companies that an average person's head would spin. Jim Senegal, co-founder and retired CEO of Costa Wholesale, recalled the way his former boss, Price Club founder Saul Price, routinely tried to build his employees' expertise in the details of retailing. We were tested every day, and if something wasn't done properly, he would be certain to show us how to do it. Life lessons. Of course, great leaders don't limit themselves to teaching about work. They also proffer deeper wisdom about life. That might seem like overstepping, but I discovered that managers found it extremely helpful. For example, an HCA physician interviewed by my research team remembered his former boss Frist showing him a note card on which he had written his near-term goals, intermediate-term goals and long-term goals. In a lesson the doctor never forgot, first explained that he refined those goals each day and was surprised that more people didn't perform such an exercise. On the job, that's MBWA, management by wandering around. Some leaders ensure on-the-job learning by working in open offices that allow them to observe employees, project accessibility and encourage frequent conversations. Others opt for more conventional offices but make a point of maintaining open door policies and spending lots of time circulating among their staff, which means they can offer lessons on the spur of the moment when people can best process and embrace them. A good example of this was relayed to me by Campbell, a Brinker disciple. One evening at the office, Brinker brought up a memo Campbell had recently sent to a team member directing him in some detail to take a specific action. You know, Campbell vividly recalled his boss saying, "This is a thought for you. The next time you are going to tell someone like Bill to do something, try to give him the objective and leave it up to him to figure out how to do it. You will find out how smart he is or he isn't, and he will probably come up with some things that you wouldn't have thought of yourself." In manufactured moments, leaders often create teaching moments outside the office environment. Famed chef and foodie entrepreneur René Redzepi, co-owner of the restaurant Noma in Copenhagen, takes off-site teaching to an extreme. In 2012, he relocated his entire staff to London to create a 10-day pop-up establishment. A few years later, our team members went to Tokyo for 2 months. The next year, they moved to Sydney, Australia for 10 weeks, and in 2017 they ran a pop-up in Tulum, Mexico for 7 weeks. The goal, Redzepi explained, was to learn by exploring a different place and meeting new people. He took personal responsibility for ensuring that everyone was broadening his or her culinary horizons. Back home, he said, he and the staff worked to apply all these new learnings to the everyday routine. Expert delivery. No matter when or where they choose to teach their lessons, the leaders I studied were smart enough not to pummel employees with too much information. They deployed more nuanced techniques. Customized instructions. Best in class educators embrace personalization, tailoring lessons and support to match students' individual learning profiles. And great business leaders do the same thing. They know that each subordinate should be taught in a way that suits his or her particular needs, personality, and development course. Craigslist founder Craig Newmark remembered getting that type of targeted advice from his former boss at a local IBM branch office. After an incident in which he behaved like a know-it-all, pulling him aside, his boss quietly said, "Don't correct people when it matters little." A senior manager who worked for Sanders described a similar encounter. The man had used the phrase "you guys" in an important and successful meeting with potential business partners. Afterwards, in private, Sanders chastised him for the informal language. "He put his arm around me like a father," the executive recalled, "and made it clear that as good as the meeting was, it could have been even better." He has since made a point expunging "you guys" from his business vocabulary. Questions. Star leaders also take a page from Socrates and teach by asking sharp, relevant questions, often in the course of furthering their own learning. According to a college HCA, Frist was always asking probing questions to find out what was happening. He did so to educate himself, not to make you feel like you were doing something appropriate or inappropriate. It was an educational venture. Role model. Lead by example. Another powerful and common teaching tactic deployed by executives I studied, used to conjunction with the other techniques I have mentioned, was the simplest: leading by example. Andrew Golden, president of the Princeton University Investment Company, reported that his former boss, Yale's chief investment officer David Swensen, was known for assuring ambitious new hires that he would do everything he could to help them not only develop but also move on to new jobs when they were ready, which is exactly how Golden ended up in his current role. Conclusion. Ultimately, great leaders understand that even a little bit of high quality one-on-one teaching can yield great dividends. As the boss, you command your employees' attention, and the lessons you impart will be more relevant, better timed, and more personalized than content delivered in traditional leadership training programs. And when you embrace the role of teacher, you build loyalty, turbocharge your team's development, and drive superior business performance. Wish you best of luck. We are business consultants based in Pakistan. If you need to accelerate your organizational performance and transfer your company To meet the upcoming business challenges for a better tomorrow, please contact us for a turnaround. You can find us at rabbaniresearch.net. Trust Rabbani for quality competence. Thank you so much.